Hello and welcome to Two Words Wolves Pod. I'm Ryan Eichten, and today we have a guest, and the Wolves are on a winning streak. Usually I bring on a guest and the Wolves look terrible, but today they have a second straight blowout, and I have Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage. Andrew, how you doing?
It's pretty bad when it's like winning streak, 2 games.
It's
Massive
3.
victory. 3 games, you're right. Both LA teams. Yep, 3 games. Massive success. But I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
Good. That just shows how bad that first Clipper game was, and it was I was just like, well, they won. They needed to win. Yeah, I know. I was sitting next to your guy Tom Schreier at that game. We just were both like, I was brutal. What the heck were the Clippers doing at the end of that game? But the Wolves at that time were on a 4-game losing streak, and I think everyone was just like, they just needed to win. They needed it however they could get it.
I mean, that's what the vibe in the locker room was after, from what I heard, is just like they were like, all right, we got a win. Let's string a couple together here. But I mean, 2 blowouts. For everyone that wants to see Terrence Shannon, Josh Minott, like that's the best way to do it. Just win by 20 so they get 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's too bad Dillingham's got this ankle thing, or else he would have gotten 20-something minutes too. But yeah, so it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's just hop right into it. First, we'll start with these back-to-back blowouts. But my big headline is the Wolves' defense is back. The type of defense they were playing last year, to me, is so much in these last 2 games is back. And really, I think kind of quietly, for the past couple weeks, the defense has been very, very good. Over the last 8 games, all NBA teams' last 8 games, the Wolves are first in defense. So right back where they were last year. What do we think about that? Do you think this type of defense is here to stay? Is it just a hot streak against a couple teams playing on back-to-backs?
I think it's here to stay. I mean, I think, honestly, Dante DiVincenzo after practice one game kind of said it best. He's like, you just have to want to play defense. And when we want to play defense, we're really, really good. Which, I mean, I have the quote. It's, you have to want to do it. You can't let the offensive end affect the defensive end. You can't let your own personal battles affect the total team defensive effort, which that's what they've been doing the last couple games. Mm-hmm. If Anthony Edwards is struggling, which he has been the last couple games, he's still trying his best to pay attention on defense. Nikhil's been phenomenal like he was last season. Jaden's still struggling shooting the ball. He's been playing better. And honestly, it just looks like Randall's starting to figure out how to play next to Rudy, which I can't remember if it was on this podcast or if it was on Locked On, but one of them that I was on, I was just talking about Randall's off-ball defense is some of the some of the worst, just like caught ball watching moments of the season have been Randall off-ball defense. And if he's able to just lock in and understand that really all he has to do is pay attention to his man and rotate once in a while, it's going to be really good. Gobert has also been playing out of his mind the last week and a half or so, really since that Toronto kerfuffle. He's been phenomenal. So I think it's back. There's no reason it can't hold up. They have the talent. It's just they have to want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder how much, because it wasn't just like effort. Obviously, that was a big thing. I mean, in general, I always am hesitant to call effort as an issue for anything. But I mean, when they're saying it themselves, then it's certainly time at that point to look at that. But I mean, there's schematic things too. I think the last couple games, the non-Rudy minutes have been not nearly as much of an issue. They've done a good job. I mean, that's just like that'll probably never be a good defensive lineup in the same way that the Cat center lineups were not as good as the Rudy center lineups. But like, it shouldn't have been nearly the layup line that it was. And I just think like getting used to each other, and like you said, like Randall not being just this black hole defensively of ball watching and back cuts, and there's still some of that. And I mean, everyone misses a box out assignment or every once in a while, but yeah, I think this is whether they can get back to like fully for months at a time, like what they did last year, I don't think is likely. They just don't have the with Kyle Anderson gone, Randall is probably still not as good as defender as Cat, at least not next to Gobert. So like, I don't think it's fair to like need them to be like the top defense or like last year where they were like 6 points better than league average. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I mean, they're up to sixth right now, and I think it's fair to assume that they'll maybe not assume, but hope or predict that they'll be in the top 5 by year's end.
My dream for them is for them to be top 3. Because I think if they can be top 3, they give themselves a chance every game. And to your point with the like non-Gobert minutes, like the defense should, like Naz Reid is not Rudy Gobert. Like the defense will fall off. But theoretically, the offense should tick up a little bit with Naz Reid in there instead of Gobert, just from a shooting and space standpoint. But if they can get to third, I think we could realistically say like the Wolves defense is back, like that their identity has been resumed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That being said, the weird thing with this team is last season they had such a gift of like size and length, and this year they're really a center injury away from being a really, really small team that's going to struggle. I mean, if Gobert misses significant time, if Naz Reid goes down, they really don't have a backup plan other than Randall playing center. So that could be what I see causes them never to get to that third, because just health. It's so hard to bank on people being healthy.
Yeah. I mean, so just looking at the current defensive rating leaders. So first, Oklahoma City, that there's a good chance Oklahoma City stays there. There's a gap next to Houston and Orlando. Houston's very good, and I think Orlando's defense is obviously legit, but two defenses I think the Wolves could catch. And then an LA Clippers team that we just saw, obviously they're beat up, but I don't know, the Wolves got a better defense than them. Golden State, who started off the year phenomenal, is kind of leaking just a little bit here. Also, I know Draymond Green has been hurt. We'll see if he plays tomorrow or even tonight. The Warriors play tonight too. And then Memphis, who the Wolves passed with their defensive showing last night. So, like, I think third is probably a fair goal. I think Oklahoma City is probably just going to run away with the defensive title, and let's see where they are offensively. They're 8th. So, I mean,
that's the dream for the Wolves, though, right? Third in defense and then be a top 10 offense this
Yep.
year. I mean, that gets them. I think coming into the season, everyone in that locker room kind of spoke about it, of just, if we give up a little bit defensively to be a better offense, that would be okay with them. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Do you think they could even get to a top 10 offense the way they... I mean, it's really such a different... I'll caveat this. The last 3 games, they have had more assists. Their assist percentage has been up. It's looked more like Finch's kind of Golden State play within the flow type offense. But, I mean, with Randall and Edwards, I don't know if they could get to a top 10 with how ISO heavy they can be at times.
Yeah. Even the last 2 games, they're 21st in defense, and maybe there's too much garbage time noise in that, so it's not worth looking at. I mean, trying to find my words, but
I know, right?
Early on in the year, it was kind of both. Their defense was hemorrhaging points, and their offense was, well, the first couple games was awesome, and then just since we've not seen that. And so I just overall worry that like 15th or 12th is their ceiling. And that's going to be, to me, like, there's no more worries about the defense. I mean, maybe they end up 3rd, 5th, 7th, whatever. They're going to have a fantastic defense. That's going to be what their team is about and what it should be about, with Rudy Gobert on a roster. If your team is not like a defensive team with him on the roster, I think that's just like you're missing. It's low-hanging fruit. But like for the Wolves to be a championship team, especially now that their defense is not going to be like miles better than everyone else, if they want to win a title or make the finals, they're going to have to get to top 10. And like, so like I wrote down 3 areas where, like, if they were to do it, it would be here, because I don't think they're going to make some like grand schematic change or like to run more plays or run different plays. So The three I wrote down were pace, because they still, despite talking about it in their preseason, they haven't really done much increasing the pace. They're 24th so far this season. 3-point shooting, we saw it at the beginning of the year. The 3-point volume was way, way, way up, and it's still been pretty high, but hasn't quite been like league leading 3-point attempts. And then turnovers, they're continuing to just be very bad with turnovers, 24th in turnover percentage. So I guess which of those three do you think they can? I mean, they've already been kind of doing the shooting, but like the pace and the turnovers, which of those stands out to you?
I think turnovers, just because Finch traditionally has really favored high assist to turnover ratio. So if you have like 6 assists to 1 turnover, it's a 6-point high that way, not high as in they're hemorrhaging turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
But Finch traditionally with his like backcourt and even like wing players favors those guys that don't turn it over that much. I think the turnovers will go down eventually just by having Mike fully healthy and playing 24, 25 minutes. I can see that being significantly better. The pace, I mean, unless Rob starts playing 20, 25 minutes a game, I don't see the pace getting significantly better. Gobert and Mike kind of like the plodding pace. They don't have a lot of guys that leak out and just sprint, unless we're talking Nikhil or Dante, but they also are only playing 24 minutes. I did look up the assist percentage real quick, though. Last 3 games in their winning streak, 77%, number 1 in the league. On the season, they are 15th at 63%. That's including the last 3 games. I do think that needs to stay towards that top 5, 70% range if they want to be the team that they can be. They can't be an ISO heavy team. Ant still has issues when that double comes. Sometimes he kind of panics and dribbles the ball off a knee. And Randall, although like it's really cool when those like pull up jump shot passes work, it ends badly. We're seeing at least once a game. I mean, they gotta just keep looking for shooters on the perimeter. They gotta keep that assist percentage high. It just not only just for them to win, but also so that Finch doesn't have a stroke. Because I think when they're in the 50% range, he might say like he's okay with it, but that's not the type of basketball he has kind of portrayed himself to like.
Yeah. To me, the pace is like the biggest thing. It's not that I expect them to be like top 10 or whatever, but like 24th to me is just too slow. And yeah. I think they should be closer to like league average, 15 to 17, maybe that range. Just like low hanging fruit type stuff, like just a couple more times instead of backing it out, like you go and you attack. Like Randall can do it, just grabbing a rebound and going. Dillingham's like a good example of the type of player Minott too, if that becomes a rotation piece. Like I just think like grabbing just even a little bit of transition offense would be good. I mean the turnovers, I don't think it's a schematic thing. They just gotta execute or focus or whatever word you want to use. Like they can't be 24th. If they can get that to league average, that's another step. And with the 3-point shooting, I think the volume's been fine. A lot of guys aren't making shots. DiVincenzo continues to just not quite have it, although the Laker game he looked awesome. So I'm not really worried about that. Jaden's shot's going to come and go. Ant is going to continue to make a ton of threes. Mike is finding a shot, so I think the 3-point shooting will be another boom for them.
The people that are like doing really well on their team for 3-point shooting are the people that are probably going to maintain. Like Ant's going to stay at his current level. Randall's kind of regressed back to his mean. Like Mike's going to find his shot, in the low 40%. Nikhil will probably fall off, but if Nikhil falls off, Dante and Jaden should improve. So I'm with you with the 3-point shooting. I think they're going to probably end up being a really good 3-point shooting team and a really good defense. The pace is just, it's almost like infuriating because they have so many players that can get a rebound and push. Like Ant can get a rebound and push. Jaden can get a rebound and push. Nas can. To your point, Randall can. They have like players on the wings that are like really athletic. Nikhil's a really athletic dude. It really is just in their half court offense, it seems like they take so long to score.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't really have a lot of just fast break opportunities, which maybe part of that is they don't have faith that Rudy can make those like deep outlet passes. But if that's the case, like let Randall get those like easy rebounds. But then I suppose if you're like letting people get rebounds, you get back into the first few games of the season problem where you're getting destroyed on offensive rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a weird problem that this team has always seemed to have with Finch of they want to have this flowing, beautiful offense that prides itself on getting out in threes and spaces, but then they're always so low in pace. So maybe it's just a matter of people are thinking too much.
Yeah. I just think it's like it's a commitment to it. You gotta, when you get a rebound, push. When you get a turnover, push. And the defense playing better, they forced 20-something turnovers last night. Like that's that'll increase your pace real quick. So I think like schematically with the pick and roll, the one thing that's been, they just overall need to make Gobert part of the offense and not post ups. We don't need to revisit the Toronto debacle. But like the pick and roll, I think like there's so few like just lobs to Gobert to like what they were doing so early. Well, early was like hitting Rudy on the short roll and Rudy dishing it out to threes. And I know like I think that makes like Wolves fans or like people uncomfortable. Like they don't want Rudy handling the ball like that. But the alternative is like when they come up and guard the ball screen heavy, Ant just like tries to dribble around it and he just like gets stuck in the corner. If you remember the second overtime win against Sacramento, the game winning shot was that where he just pulled up off of that. That's not a consistent like action there. The play is to hit Rudy on the short roll and let Rudy play basically 4-on-3. And that's going to lead to some weird shots and turnovers from Rudy. You got to live with that. But consistently hitting that will then open up. They can't keep bringing two to the ball. I mean, that the Warriors, I mean, Draymond obviously is the greatest ever at the short roll playmaking. So we're not asking for that. But like the Warriors built a dynasty off of that action. Just they had to bring two to the ball. They would hit Green in the pocket pass, and it was death from there because they had shooters everywhere. And if you let Draymond roll to the rim, he was gonna put it in. So like you just have to hit Rudy there, and he's shown like past couple. He's had a couple steals. He had a steal and dunk against the Lakers. He had a no look pass at Jaden. Like because his turnovers are so loud and his his layups that don't hit the rim are so loud. I think you still just have to go back to the Toronto point. Like you still have to find, if my whole thing was like, if this is part of the action, if this is something that the coaching staff is either wanting or is okay with it being part of the offense, you have to go to it. You can't, if you determine that it shouldn't be part of the offense, then you can't have Rudy sending ball screens all the time if it's just going to lead to Ant getting trapped. So that's like the next like Ant, I think, just has to get off the ball quicker. Whether that's actually finding Gobert, I remember last year when instead of passing into Gobert on the short roll, you hit the first teammate on the wing, and then he passes to Gobert, and that like to me like overall like they just have to find a way to like use Rudy as a scorer and as a screener on the pick and roll, and not just as a body to get yourself an open look.
Well, and to your point, if they did that consistently all game, Gobert would probably have an extra 2 turnovers. Like realistically, he's going to duff it off his knee once, and he's probably going to throw it and hit the bottom of the backboard or something. Like you said, his turnovers are loud. They're going to be awkward and kind of gross. but they don't do it. They're still getting the turnovers. And how many like forced shots come off of that where they could have just bounced past it into Rudy? So
Yeah.
it's like it is going to help the offense. It's just you're also probably going to be on Shackton and Poole. So like I guess my hope is that when it really matters, like towards the end of the season, they're hitting that more often and they're like trusting that Gobert is going to make the right play and that the 2 turnovers from Gobert is going to equal out with the like turnovers that they were already having, or the like forced mid-range shots that they're taking instead of giving it to him. I think honestly you're probably right though. It's probably just a combination of some players on the team being like, oh, if we throw it into Rudy, is it even going to get out of the post? And a combination of just they look so ugly that it sticks in your mind more.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're playing the percentages, you're going to get more good kick out passes from Rudy on that than you're going to get turnovers. And you're going to get more like dunks and lobs and Gobert catching that pass and just going over the top of somebody than missed mid-range shots. So
Yeah, and
you're 100% right. They just have to do it. I just wish I could get like truth serum in them to figure out like why they don't do it. Because my guess would be a big part of it is they don't want to get made fun of online or see that clip come up of them passing it to Rudy and like it being ugly.
yeah, I don't think
I
you
don't
need the
know what
truth
the
serum.
other reasons would be.
I don't think you need the truth serum. I think their actions on the court and otherwise give you the answers you want. And the whole pick and roll thing, the post up thing again is a whole different animal. But like,
Yeah.
it depends on the coverage because early on in the year they were not blitzing Ant in the pick and roll. They were going under or just not playing proper defense. And that's when he was just hitting like 5, 6, 7 threes a game. And so like that's like I think kind of the next level for Ant as like just a greater NBA picture is like a little bit more of that heliocentric Lucas stuff where just making the correct read every single time. And he doesn't quite do that yet. And that's not even like that much of a criticism because he's so young and does so many other great things for them. But like just they play me up in the ball or up on the screen. I immediately hit the next guy. Okay, they're playing under. Now I either pull up or if they switch, then I take this guy. I pull out the center and attack. Like just a little bit more where to me, it just at times it feels like, especially like when they're blitzing him, he's just trying to run around it. And that it's just, that's what it's exactly what the defense is trying to get you to do. So I just think getting off the ball quicker is like the biggest thing.
That's the next evolution of Ant, right? Like he's not a point guard, he's a shooting guard. 28-year-old Ant is probably hitting those bounce passes in the pocket. 22-year-old Ant still probably goes into like, I've been able to run around people my whole life, so that's what I'm going to do. He'll get there. It's just until he does, people like us are going to be like, why doesn't he just pass it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is just like every single time there's something like this with Ant where it's just like, yeah, this is like the next thing. He always solves it every single time. So it's another thing. Like it's not a worry, but it is something that will need to improve. If we stick with talking about Ant, his leadership this year has been, we'll call it interesting. In this sense, I think despite him playing poorly, this 3-game stretch, I think, has a lot to do with him. Early on in the year, they just so often would talk about effort and not being there. And Ant would say basically the same thing he always says of, it's on me, it's on all of us, we got to do better, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, as a media member, obviously you want him saying that stuff. You want him giving you all the info, and he's saying what you should. But like my frustration was like, okay, but like, you need to do it now though. You need to try against crappy team X. You need to I don't know, like you're saying you're the problem but then not being the solution. So like it was kind of maddening that way. And it all came to a head after the Sacramento loss. Where he he had a very interesting media availability where he's like, "What you guys want to know? Why we trash?" And Chris Hine asked him what they tell you to ask in journalism school. He said, "Yes, we would like to know why you're trash." It's pretty much a quote of what Chris said.
Yep.
And he again took accountability for that loss, and I'm like, okay, here we go again. And he basically opened up about what happened at halftime, him trying to motivate people, him obviously taking accountability, like talking about them being front runners, them growing apart, just this whole like didn't leave anything out. And since then, they've won 3 in a row. And my whole thing with like Ant as a leader is last year he didn't have to be. Mike was like damn near their best player, and he was their leader. Kyle Anderson and Kat were probably the next 2 leaders, and now those 2 are gone, and Mike isn't as big of a part of the on-court success. So they need Ant. I mean, Ant is just everything with this franchise. He is.
Yep.
They are going to go as far as they take him. So much like the increased ticket sales that people complain about are because of him.
Yep.
The marketing, the reason
every TV commercial is him. Like the
it's
lead,
all
in a sense, is
all because of
banking
him. The reason Glenn and Alex and Mark are fighting over the thing is largely because of him. Like, so I think it's like there was always going to be a speed bump in the road for him taking over that mantle, and there's probably still things he needs to do, but like they just need him to be. They need him to be everything. They need him to be damn near Michael Jordan. And at least like leadership wise, the past 3 games, I think like he's been positive there.
I think it's funny that Ant started calling them front runners after the game where Julius Randle was like talking to Jay Crowder the entire game. And I was curious, so I looked up the history of that, and apparently Jay Crowder, when he was with the Suns, had a game where him and Randall got into it, and Jay Crowder was saying that Randall's team were just a bunch of front runners. And I just think it's funny that it kind of comes full circle with Anthony Edwards being like, yeah, we're front runners, which that's kind of what they were. They were in that game in particular. They have the chest bump at half, like at mid court. They're screaming at each other. Randall's talking the entire game almost to Jay Crowder, and like it looks like this is the turning point, like finally. And then when the wheels come off, they have no answers. It comes off. And I mean, kudos to Ant for throwing everything on the line. I think he's still trying to figure out the leadership thing, because when he wasn't the 1A underline, you are the franchise guy, his leadership style was very much like, I'm the lovable kid. You know what I mean? Like Rudy Gobert's in a press conference. I can tell he's uncomfortable. I'm going to make jokes. I'm going to talk about how amazing Cat is. They have Kevin Durant. We have Jaden McDaniels. Like, I'm going to have all of these like fun-loving quotes. But now it's like the hard part of leadership. Like, how do you tell a 30-year-old Julius Randle, you got to move the ball? How do you tell Rudy Gobert, you're not getting a post up? Like, those are the things I think Mike did last year and Kyle did last year, and Ant got to just be Ants. And there's kind of different styles of leadership. There's the Michael Jordan Kobe version where you just tell them to shut up and it's your ball. And there's the, other type where it's Steph Curry, where he's more kind of welcoming and, my office is always open type of leadership. It'll be interesting to see by the end of the season which way Ant goes, because it did seem like that game pissed him off. Like the crowd booing he mentioned after the game. Julius, that front running thing I think was kind of a across the bow shot at Julius of like, hey man, you're talking when we're up, but you're not talking when we're down. So like, what are we doing? It's going to be really interesting, because I think this year is going to tell us a lot about the inner psyche of Ant and where he really lies, because you don't get to his level without having a little bit of that dark side to you. and we've never really seen it other than like the social media stuff and his like public missteps, but even those he plays off as the lovable kid.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about the leadership last year was Cat, in the sense of Ant
Hmm.
does a really good job when things are, especially when things are going well, of giving praise to others and giving, like,
Yep.
make sure others are included, and um like that people don't like miss out on that. And so like for Cat specifically, it was like the perfect spot to like, okay, Ant is the best player on the court now. Ant is, that was clear last year and maybe before. So, but Carl is still the Carl got announced last and should have, like, where I'm sure there was like, where can I continue to make sure Cat is not like feeling like I'm taking this over from him, and like the leadership stuff I think was a big part of that, where Ant got to let Cat be more of the locker room leader, because he'd been in the locker room longer. And so I think that like missing that was big. But I don't think he was calling out anyone specifically, to be honest. I think, I mean, he certainly like would have included himself. I think because
Hmm.
he said something like, I don't think any of us are front runners, but we're acting like it, basically. And I certainly, after that Kings game, it's hard to, they take a 10-point lead, they immediately give up 11 straight scores on 11 straight possessions. Like, and like Jay Crowder is playing heavy minutes and had been on the team for literal hours. Like, they signed him like the day before. Like, it just, I'm hoping that that was like their rock bottom, and it maybe it should have come in Portland, or maybe it should have come in Toronto, but it took them to like not even lose to a bad team, although Sacramento's struggling. Like, it took them to like lose just an incredibly winnable game that they just like, something had to change.
That game was, I mean, it should have been a win. Like it shouldn't have been an overtime. It shouldn't have been a loss at that. I guess I agree with you that I think he was calling out the whole team as front runners. I just optically that was the first game where Randall really started to, like, I'll always kind of remember the free throws, the bleep talking to Crowder, the chest bump mid court, like him and Ant yelling at each other after a play, like they were locked in. And I think when that game the wheels started to come off, the biggest thing I noticed was Randall and Ant really stopped having anything to do with each other, and that can't happen. I
For
mean,
sure.
Ant is going to need to be in Randall's ear just like he's going to be in everyone's ear. I think what has been kind of the most interesting is like Ant, to your Mike Conley point, it's hard to be a leader when you're not like one of the best players on the team. So like Mike, I'm sure is saying the same things he said last year. It's just not as effective. There really isn't anyone else on this team though that is like looking for that leadership role. It really is just kind of Ants. I mean, Rudy leads in his own weird way.
Lead by on court example would be
Right.
Rudy.
Nikhil, I mean, he always says the right thing. He's a great, like, introspective guy, but he kind of leads by example too. Jaden's really quiet until he gets mad, but he leads by example. Like, it really is, unless Randall really comes out of his shell more with his teammates, it really is just kind of Ant needs to be the leader in every aspect.
Yeah, and he'll get there. I just think it's like, it's the natural growing pains of a young
Yep.
player, and maybe we, as media people, overrate this type of stuff. Maybe if they had just hit one more shot against Sacramento, you wouldn't need any leadership. I don't know, but I mean,
I
we can
think
talk about his offense too, which has just been I don't know, abysmal basically the last couple weeks.
I think with the leadership, just last thing on it is
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those things that like in sports, I think it's overblown, but in every aspect of life, right? Like you got a group of friends, you know, there's the one guy that's going to be there for everybody. You're like working your day job, you know, like the person that's going to be there to help out or that you can call and vent to. You even in your family, like there's probably one uncle, one cousin, someone that is the family leader that is going to plan everything, that's going to do everything. And I think it's just that way in sports too, where there just has to be the one reliable guy that's going to kind of be there for everyone and tell it how it is. And again, to your point, Ant is 22 years old. I mean, when I was 22, I was busy flunking out of business school and getting into healthcare. So he's doing miles better than I was, I would argue. And it's really hard to look grown men like 29, 30, Mike and Joe, who are 36 and 37, in the eye and tell them they need to do better when you're that age. It'll come, just like most things. For his offense, though, yeah, I have no clue. My biggest conspiracy theory is he's been wearing a leg sleeve since he tweaked his knee in the first game of the season. And I wonder if that's some of his burst issue, and now his three isn't falling. But it's been weird. His whole season's been kind of weird.
Yeah, he's just like to me, like the 3-point shooting it's either just been missing shots or like that part's been fine, but like he just hasn't been able to get to the paint like almost at all. And when he does, I'm not gonna say he gets fouled, but like every single thing, not every single time, but like so often when he gets to the paint, puts up a tough layup, I think to myself, was that a foul? Could have been, but maybe not. Like everything is like a borderline close foul. Not even like not complaining about officials or anything. Like just it's like there's some marginal contact and misses a layup, and it's just like I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's schematic and like it's because Rudy's guys always sitting down there and they just need to figure that part out. But yeah, I'm kind of befuddled by it too. But ultimately, you can't worry about it too much, right? Because he's just gonna explode at some point here.
I mean, to your point, he is averaging 1.9 less free throw attempts per game. And like for how much he attacks and how high his usage is, the fact he's only shooting 4.5 free throws a game is kind of obnoxious. Like he should be closer to the 9-10 for how much he handles the ball and how much he attacks. Just I don't know if he's just not at that point yet where he's getting the whistle he deserves. I don't know if it's. I mean,
He'll tell you he doesn't flop. He'll tell you that's a big part of it.
He does yell "hey" a lot, and he doesn't get technicals, so he's getting somewhere. But I do think I think there is an art to drawing fouls, and I don't think Ant has figured out that art quite yet, which some of it is knowing like how to go up with the ball so you play the percentages and get slapped on the wrist more often. And some of it is theatrics, falling down, sending messages to league office. That being said, I mean, the fact that he's still shooting 40% from three, isn't he? Like the fact that he is 42% on 10.6 attempts per game. I mean, the fact that he's doing that,
it should be opening up so much else. Yeah.
Right. And career low on 2-point field goals. Again, 1.9 less free throws than last year. He's shooting 4.5 free throw. It will change at some point. Honestly, if you're a conspiracy theorist, though, Cat goes to New York and all of a sudden he's getting a whistle. So there might be just some of that baked in. Like you play for Minnesota, you're going to have to just make shots type of thing.
Yeah,
Full disclosure, I did ask about Antony, and the only response I got was, "Yeah, Ant, he's always playing through something." It's like,
yeah,
okay.
They're not going to give you anything.
Thanks,
if you don't get me started on there's so many Cat narratives that drive me up a wall that I just don't even want to touch with the 10-foot pole. But I mean, you talk about the art of drawing foul. It certainly is, but like to me, it's like calling it an art is like calling kindergarten macaroni art. Like it's just crap. And there was a play last night, and they were up 29 at the time, so whatever. But like Harden just runs into someone, throws up crap right at the end of the half, and they get a call. And Ant's like complaining to the ref, and it gets picked up on the mic. He's like, Luka Doncic does that all the time. I
Mhm.
think he was referring to Harden. I don't know how to get that out of the game. And the Wolves have the Wolves had D'Lo, who did some of that stuff. Randall at times does. So it's like it's not even a Wolves thing. It's just like, can we get that foul out of the game? I don't like it. Everyone, I get the rulebook says that's a foul. I'm not arguing even with the officials, but like everyone on the planet watches that play and goes, "That's what the heck is that?" Like, I don't know. Can we get that? I should just post the clip, but I don't want to drum up all official stuff. But just guys running into each other on purpose and throwing up crap shouldn't be a foul.
Ant is 37th in the league in free throw attempts, despite his drives. I mean, I agree with you. It sucks that we have to call it an art form, but until it is taken out of the game, that is part of the game. Like Chris Paul's running on a fast break and then slamming on the brakes so he gets decked from behind. There just is certain things that.
But they fixed that. They fixed that rule.
I mean, did they though?
Yeah, they stopped calling it and they started calling offensive fouls on it. Yeah.
I mean, I still see it.
Okay.
They've done things to make it more fair, I guess. Like the swiping the ball up throughout. I mean, D'Lo when he was
Yeah,
here
they
did it
call it on
twice
the
a
floor
game.
now. Yeah.
It's on the floor now. They did put in the rule for the emergency break, Chris Paul. I mean, really, what they have to do is just figure out how to not fall for those things. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it just happens so fast. And now I think with the benefit of replay, it's almost gotten. I'm one of the old men that's like, get replay out of the game because I feel they don't call it as often, or they just. I'll rephrase that. I think they call fouls more often because there is the chance that a coach will challenge it and it'll get reversed. So if you're a ref and you're like, is that a foul or isn't that a foul? I feel they're more likely to say, oh, it's a foul. And if the coach or someone doesn't agree, they'll just challenge it and it can get reviewed. And I think that probably leads to more of those fouls just being called and then not challenged because a coach isn't going to blow his challenge 3 minutes into the game. I don't know. I don't know what they do to fix it. I just know that for the amount of usage that Ant has, he shouldn't be 37th in the league for free throws. That's just insane.
Yeah, I honestly haven't noticed a huge number of missed calls. Trust me, I probably would if I felt like he was getting the short end of the stick. I don't even the lower free throws to me doesn't seem like an officials thing. Because they certainly were at the end of last season. They were not calling anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're the I'm sure league wide free throw rate is up compared to the second half of last season. I just think I don't know what it is. I mean, I think his 2-point attempts are down. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just it. His 2-point attempts were 13 last year and are just shy of 10 now. So that's that's a big part of it. His free throw, his free throws drawn per 2-point attempt might be the same as it was. I can't do the math quick enough here. So
yeah,
I
I
just think
think my issue with Ants and the lack of fouls is more. I mean, you look at the guy that his usage rates are next to, and it's Jason Tatum, it's Luka Doncic, it's Victor Wembanyama. That's maybe not the best. Donovan Mitchell, De'Aaron Fox, and those guys get sent to the line more. I feel based off of their pedigree and just if they say it's a foul, it's a foul. Tatum shoots. Let's
probably
see
shoots a ton
here.
of threes.
He shoots 10 2-point attempts per game. He gets to the line 7 points or for 7.7 attempts. I just think there is that bias of Ant's still a young guy. He doesn't, I mean, he does flop, but he doesn't, it's not as egregious, I'd say, as a Trae Young flop. I don't know. It's an interesting, weird wrinkle to his game that he doesn't get the free throws called.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with size, and like he doesn't flop in the sense of he doesn't try to draw fouls. He's
Yeah.
always trying to play through the contact instead of
That's why I mentioned like the art of fouling, because again, it sucks that you have to call it that way. But like you look at James Harden, you look at Doncic, you even look at Tatum for some at rim shots at least. Like they are very good at bringing the ball up a certain way into their layup form so that it boosts that chance that they're going to get hit in the wrist.
right.
And then they're able to kind of accentuate that contact so it looks more egregious than it was. And Ant doesn't do that. He might fall down, but he doesn't have that part yet. This is
Yeah.
a lot of like weird. Ant needs to get better at very minute weird things.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to criticize the guy who's been so good, although not lately.
Mhm.
I guess that can bring us into we probably should have we're burying the lead here almost like we should talk about Josh Minott was absolutely fantastic in that game. I mean, largely hasn't played much this year. They tried him out kind of early, and I thought like the Boston game was especially interesting that they put him out there for a couple minutes. He missed a rotation and basically got sat down the rest of the game. I mean, in the preseason, I know you were there. Like they talked endlessly about like loving Minott's camp and loving what he did this summer, and for it not to kind of show up early in the year was a little bit frustrating. But I thought he was like just fantastic, especially for a team that like maybe not last night, but like was in need of effort a lot of the times. Like Minott would seem to be the perfect type of person for that. But like last night, he grabbed a couple nice offensive rebounds. He had just a nice lawnmower driving dunk, and then I hit a three, which is going to continue to be like the big offensive thing for him. Can he make open threes? And then the one play that caught my eye was the little wraparound dump pass to Naz Reid for a layup in transition. I was like, ooh, now we're showing up. Yeah. So Minott finished with 13 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. 3 free throws, a 3. Like, just fantastic game. And hopefully, I don't know. I'm still like dubious that they're gonna put him in the normal rotation during a normal game when they aren't up 40 points or whatever. But it's similar to Dillingham. But I guess the difference with Minott is like the ceiling is lower on Minott compared to Dillingham, but the floor there isn't like a defensive like to me the reason they didn't play Rob the last Clippers game was because of Harden, and they just felt like Harden would cook him, and then the non-Harden minutes it was hard to find minutes because they like the Nikhil Dante Nas trio or whatever, but like I think Josh might. They still should be able to get him like 10, 12 minutes, especially if they're willing to take a couple from Jaden or take a couple from whoever else. I just thought he was like awesome last night.
I think now that the starters look better, which like, yes, starters are going to look better in a 3-game winning streak with 2 blowouts than otherwise, but like they look like they're starting to figure out how to play with each other. I think you're right. There's going to be more minutes available. Ant's probably not going to play 40 every game. Like Mike, I think they want closer to like 25 than 30. I guess my thing with Minott has always been he's such a like uncontrolled level of athleticism, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he could, speaking of like Rob Dillingham, like if Josh Minott could just slow down a little bit, I think it would do wonders for him. I mean, I think this team really needs to figure out if Nikhil can be that backup point guard or if Ant's going to be just point Ant when he's out there. Because I think if it's going to be Nikhil and Dante can't run the point, those minutes just organically have to go to Rob when he's healthy, which then kind of leaves Josh as the odd man out because we've seen with 5-minute stints, he doesn't really. I don't think a 5-minute stint for a guy like Minott is enough time for him to impact a game. Like he might be able to like full court press, or he might be able to like lock down defensively, but like his benefit, if he can make threes, half court standing in the corner is a benefit, but his benefit is those like leak out transition, push the pace. He's already at the free throw line because he runs faster than everyone else type of plays, and you can go 5 minutes without having any of those opportunities. That being
Right.
said, super nice dude. I hope it works out for him, if not here, somewhere else, because like he definitely wants it. It's just I don't like unless Nikhil or Dante can be that backup point guard, I just don't see where those minutes are gonna come, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think we're at the like it's gonna have to work out somewhere else with him, because after the season they're almost certainly gonna lose one of those top 8 guys. I'd be shocked if they had all three of Randall, Dante, and or not Dante, Randall, Naz Reid, and on the team next year. And if they somehow did, it's because they dumped Rudy or something.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a rotation spot open up next year,
Mhm.
and maybe even, I mean, if Mike Conley's gonna move to a bench role, that's gonna be Dillingham's role. But like they're going to have a role for Minott, and even throughout this year, like the Wolves haven't, other than Mike, haven't missed a single game. So like someone's going to roll an ankle,
Mhm.
miss the second night of a back to back, and now Minott's playing 20-25 minutes. So like he's not going to be benched to the shadow realm
Yeah.
all year. And I, like, you talk about him needing to be controlled, and I thought that's what he did such a good job of last game, where he had a nice controlled drive to the rim. A couple of them had I just keep thinking about, I should look up what his other 2 assists were. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but like the dump off to Naz Reid is just something, a play I have not seen him make so far this year. So
I haven't seen him make it ever. I mean, it I don't think it's give up on him time. I think it's when that opportunity arises, he needs to just take it and never give it back. And I hope he does. Like again, he's a really nice dude. He's only 22. I mean, he's 6 years away from being his like prime NBA version
mhm.
of himself. And if he can harness that kind of raw athleticism and the energy that he has, like he could be a really good asset on this team. Like you said, next year, if Randall doesn't come back, I mean, he does have the height and athleticism to where he could be a small ball 4 or a backup. I just when this team's healthy, I don't think he's going to get a shot. So it's going to have to be, Jaden misses 3 games and Minott gets 20 minutes and he needs to just be awesome.
Yeah, I did pull
Which
up
that's how it is for so many players in this.
for
I
sure.
mean, I was looking at his minutes and like he is 23 minutes away from setting his career high in minutes in a season. Like
Hmm.
that's how little of an opportunity he's had. 96 minutes is his career high. He's at 72 and a half right now.
Wow,
Like
that's kind of crazy.
I know,
I did,
especially for how much hope like the fan base has had in him. I
yeah.
mean,
He's like he's like not that far away from like longest tenured member of the team.
yep.
Yeah. I did find his 3 assists. Thank you, Synergy. One was off the offensive rebound. He had early in the game just kicked to Dante, who made a 3. The other one was just he's pushing the ball up transition, makes one simple pass to Randall, who hits a 3, and then obviously the impressive one I liked was the another one in transition, where maybe that's a role from him, pushing the ball a little bit in transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just a wraparound pass that find Nas. Not something I thought he had in his game. So, will be interesting to see what. I every time it seems like someone has, like Rob had a game or two like this. Every time people clamor for them to be the rotation, only for them to get sucked right out. It's not something that bothers me too much, because I just think, I don't think it's that crazy to just play your top 8 guys the most
Yeah.
amount of minutes. But I get the worry if someone goes down, and it looks like it's not every team's ninth, 10th, most teams' 9th, 10th men aren't like these phenomenally phenomenally valuable players. They're flawed players like Rob and Josh. So I just it was good to see him, just even for his psyche or whatever, to come into a game and play a role.
I mean, the other thing that's tough with this team is Leonard Miller. We haven't seen him at all. Luka Garza keeps coming in garbage time and just destroying people. 10 more points last night. Like, there are a lot of guys that other members of the fan base would be like, why isn't Leonard Miller playing backup center minutes? Why isn't Luka Garza getting a chance? Joe Ingles is like the dad of the team now, just wearing a baseball cap. Someone should throw him like a Coors Light or something for him when he's on the bench, because like I think there's an argument that he should get 7-8 minutes too, but this is the problem when you have 8 starters on your team. There just isn't minutes.
And like my kind of thing is like, I think people need to let go of a little bit of the crappy Wolves mentality of trying to find the next whoever, the next Mitch Creek, or that's a bad example, but like I just wanted to find the most random
Australia's
name.
own.
Yeah, but like, like the next Folk Hero, the next Nas Reed, like this team is trying to win a title. Whether you feel like that's a realistic goal for them this year after a 10-10 start, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But like they're trying to win a championship. You would not watch the Warriors and go, like the championship Warriors, and go, why aren't they playing this last guy in the bench? It's like, because they got Kevin Bleep Durant. That's why. Yep. And obviously, well, we do have Jaden McDaniels, so that we don't have
Jaden McDaniels.
We do have Jaden McDaniels, but like, why isn't X player playing? Well, like the 8th man is in theory Nikhil. Well, Nikhil's like their best player.
Yeah, Nikhil has been like literally probably their second best player for the first 20 games.
Yeah.
Dante, I see a lot of like Twitter responses of like, why aren't they cutting Dante's minutes? And it's like, because Dante is a proven shooter. If we're at game 40 and he's shooting 28% from 3, like that's a conversation. But Dante is a proven flamethrower shooter over the last 3 years.
Because if you're going to win multiple playoff series, it's going to be because Dante DiVincenzo in 1 or 2 games hit like 7 threes.
Yep. And no one's saying cut Nas Reed's minutes. No one's saying Mike. No one's saying Ant. No one's saying, I mean, Jaden's barely getting 30. So he's kind of at the low end of where he's going to, I mean, in a perfect world, Jaden McDaniels is hitting threes and he's getting 36 minutes. And that's 6 minutes less for that 9th guy. I think you're 100% spot on that it's the Wolves are fan base, and myself too. I mean, I've had season tickets for 7 years. We're so used to seeing 10-man rotations because Corey Brewer's our starting small forward.
Right.
Like Corey Brewer at his best probably wouldn't get minutes here. Wesley Johnson wouldn't either. Derek Williams wouldn't. None of those guys would get minutes on this team. JJ Barea might, but
it's like that. The team, like Kevin Love, would be the only person in the rotation of like that era of team.
Pekovic wouldn't get minutes. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
he probably wouldn't.
He would.
Reed and Rudy.
No, he wouldn't. Pekovic would get minutes because they desperately needed a backup center. That's a bad example, but
it's just interesting. The like. Rob 2 years from now is going to be the starting point guard. Like the free Rob hashtag. I love Rob doing.
I would take the under on that, by the way.
You think it'll be sooner?
By the end of next season.
Next year. I could see it next year. Man, they just love Mike so much though.
I think I'm not like a Mike's going to fall off or anything, but I think the days where you're relying on Mike to play starting point guard minutes or to win you playoff series as a starting point guard are limited.
I think by the end of the year, it'll be like 28 Mike, 20 Rob. And then I think next year that'll reverse. And then I think 2 years from now, it'll be Rob like 36. Mike's giving you 10 as like a pseudo coach.
2 years, be completely 2 years from now will be Rob's first opening night as starting point guard. I definitely.
Yep.
And
I just think like for all the free Rob hashtags, like I love the kid. He's an absolute gym rat. He is every practice availability. He is there well
In
after all of
in
us
general, they
leave.
need to get him more minutes. In general,
Right. But that being said, if he finishes the season with 10 a game, it probably means the Wolves are a top 3 seed in the West. Like that's just the reality of this team.
they
The
overall
less
need to do
Rob,
better getting Rob minutes, getting Josh minutes. Like it, in general, I agree with people. I just kind of think to point it as the reason why they lost X game is just not, especially like if remember the Houston game, they didn't take him out because they thought he was not
he
the right
was
play. He played
gassed.
the whole fourth quarter. They had to go, and I don't disagree. They should have probably gone back to him sooner, sure. But
Hmm.
yeah, to me it's kind of similar like the starting like I don't care. I really don't care who starts. To
Yeah.
me, you have to close with your five best players, and like that Clippers when they did that, they played Nikhil over Jaden because they should have played Nikhil over Jaden.
Yep.
And I think like the next step, and we don't need to. They were up 40 points, so it didn't need to happen. But like Nas will probably need to, like he did with Cat, will need to close some games over Randall.
Yep.
Well, that was a lot of, I don't know if complaining is the right word, but we probably didn't do a good job of talking about the fantastic Wolves win, a pair of them. But that's all right. That's you can't get too high or too low. That's what we're doing, right? We're just
Right.
we're
And
finding.
I mean, what they got? Is it back to back against Golden State Friday,
Yep,
Sunday?
2 against Golden
And
State. Another late one tomorrow. Golden State's playing tonight, so they have 2 back-to-back home games and back-to-back nights. ESPN, and then a Sunday. What is for Central Time a normal 7:30 p.m. tip.
which, let's just be honest, if Draymond doesn't play tomorrow, they should win it. And assuming Draymond plays on Sunday, like I'm gonna be honest, the way they're playing right now, they probably should win it. So we might be going into next week with the Wolves on a 5-game winning streak, and all the vibes are great.
Yeah, so Draymond is not playing tonight. He had an MRI yesterday that the results have not been shared. So we have no idea. It's not exactly shocking that he had missed the front end of the back-to-back, and that doesn't really give us much. Curry is also out Thursday, so that would also be a big. They're calling it ankle management. So again, is that a real ankle injury or Draymond, will he be out? We don't know. But like you said, obviously if Curry's out, that is out. But even if Draymond is out, like that just presents such a winnable game for the Wolves. But I think the basketball fan and all of us would like to see a fully healthy Wolves Warriors games because last year's games out in Golden State were so much fun when they weren't beating each other up.
Hopefully there's no chokeholds. Which I guess if Draymond isn't playing, like that would be like a real suspension if he came off the bench to choke Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, well, the inciting incident last year was Clay and Jaden. So Clay is no longer at Golden State. So maybe that'll change. But yeah, on Sunday our guy Leo will be out there covering that game. So that'll
awesome.
we'll me and him next week likely on Monday for a Tuesday release time. We'll talk about the pair of Golden State games, and then they have a long break. Their next game after that is home against the Lakers on Friday. So another 4 days off for the Wolves, and maybe they'll fix some more stuff about the team. But Andrew, you got anything you want to plug over at Zone Coverage?
Next article's coming out Saturday. I did do Lindsey Whalen, Eric Tybalt.
Probably want to figure that one out before the season starts.
I think it's Tybalt. Because anyways, I'll figure it out. That's my problem, not anyone else's. But I did clipped a bunch of stuff and threw that in an article with some words for yesterday if anyone wants links news. And then I am going to be with Ben Beacom on Locked On Minnesota tomorrow after the Golden State game. Yeah, hopefully not in the wee hours of the morning, but after the game, if anyone wants some post-game analysis, we'll be over there doing that.
I'm sure they'll send the game to overtime just for you.
they seem to make these West Coast games when I'm going to be on Locked On go forever. So
There
we'll
you go.
see.
Well, you missed yesterday's game that was wrapped up quickly. So
the last one I did was the Kings game in Sacramento that went into overtime, and I think
there you go.
I think me and I think I was up until like 1:30 that night doing Locked On, which first world problems. We get to talk about basketball for, you know, a living, not a living, for a part-time job.
It's like a living. It's like where can I get a living here?
Massive amounts of credit card debt. You can do anything you want, Ryan.
Yeah, the ATM spits out $100 bill. It's great. Where did it come from? Awesome. Well, that's where we'll wrap up. Leo and I will be back early next week. Thanks for listening.